Okay, we've got a speed run here we're going to do on the US No Blurry. I'm narrating it after the fact because I wasn't very loud, but I did do quite well. So, here in a suburban area, sitting in front of a house. So, we'll come down to the end of the street and we see that it is on Weatherby at Leahy Avenue. Then we just need to figure out what town this happens to be in. I've already figured out it's probably New Jersey based on the license plates that we've seen. Um, he looks like South Jersey, but obviously we have to figure out where we're going. And I definitely lose some time wandering around this town a bit, trying to see if there's anything with a sign or um, nothing here that has any label on it. You know, that church isn't going to really tell us much. Just trying to find something with a town name or a road sign or some way to identify where this place is. I feel like I've just about doubled back on myself at this point, but you got to go somewhere, try and find a big road. It's usually helpful to just stay on the same road and go. See if that school has a name. It's just Margaret Clifford. I guess if you lived in this town, you'd probably know what that was, but you probably would have recognized it by now anyway. So moving down the street, and finally we get to this hardware store, Swedesboro. I know that's in South Jersey. I lived not far away from there for 2 years. So we're just pulling in. I got it confused with Glassboro for a second, so then I had to find Swedesboro up here. And then it's not very big, so hopefully Leahy or Weatherby shows up. We move around a little bit. There is Leahy, there's Weatherby, and then because it's a decently long street, I wanted to go back and check the houses. One house, two house. There's a third, a fourth, and a fifth. And then just to double check that I actually went the right direction because I've screwed that up before. There it is. Count the houses. 1, 2, 3, 4. First one done. I think that took me about 2 minutes, I believe. Then I popped up here in a big city. Not quite sure which city it was. I thought it was a pretty southern city at first. Then I spun around enough to see that there was a hotel, DC, National Hotel, or whatever, DC cab on there. So now it's just as simple as figuring out where I am on the grid. DC's a gridded city, so Marriott was going to definitely show up on the map. I am at 12th Northwest and H Street. And so then it's just moving in. A little out of practice, I guess, dealing with DC. We do go in there a decent amount. Living in Delaware, it's not far away. So it took me a little longer to find what I was looking for here than I would have liked. We're already down to the mall, and I knew it would be northwest of there. Just a little trouble moving back and forth, finding the right ones. And then, of course, getting my alphabet in the right order. I'm looking above I instead of below I, where I should be. I will correct this shortly as I say the alphabet, and then just trying to make sure there's the hotel. We're there. Moving on. So another one, we've got a city. There's a barber shop. We know it's not a big city. And as I'm moving around, I notice, police car. That'll be great. We go in Worcester. This looks enough like Worcester, Massachusetts. I'm happy to go there. We see we're at Hawley and Pleasant. I go into Worcester, Massachusetts, hoping that one of those streets is big enough to show up relatively easy. I found Pleasant real quick, probably quicker than I deserved to, but that could be made up for the trouble I had in Swedesboro. And then this seems like the kind of area where it would be, so I looked that direction. We got to the river pretty quick, so I went back the other way. Holly showed up relatively fast. The barbershop was there, so it's just a matter of clicking, getting those points, moving on. On to the fourth round. We're also in a city. We're on a bridge over a river, which is going to make this super easy. I feel like there probably were ways that I could have found this out first, but I just was not seeing any of the information I was looking for where I was. It seemed pretty clear that it was in a Midwestern city, but government center made that really difficult to figure out. I thought maybe it was in a capital, but I didn't recognize it as any one of the capitals. Turns out that wasn't true. I figured there'd be some sort of name somewhere. I knew it was on 4th Street, so the 4th Street Bridge would come in handy. And that's actually helpful because, as you find out later, there's the 3rd Street Bridge in this town as well. Moving down the road, I saw a couple of things that said Civic Center. I figured I would be able to find the Civic Center and it would say a name on the Civic Center. But it doesn't. It just says Civic Center. So moving down, there were some advertisements or sponsors on one of the windows. I think it's coming up right here. Yeah. So that says Rochester, which made me immediately think Rochester, Minnesota. I wasn't entirely sure, though, because there weren't area codes around. I didn't know. I knew it wouldn't be Rochester, New York. It wouldn't look like that, but I saw another Rochester, and I figured, well, instead of trying to find confirmation, I'm going to go look and see if there's a river and a 4th Street bridge in Rochester. So I know where Rochester, Minnesota is. It's kind of southeast of Minneapolis. Is there a bridge? Is there a 4th Street? And sure enough, there is a 4th Street bridge, and I'm glad I checked 4th Street because you see above there's also a 3rd bridge. Click that, and now I'm in really good shape. So then I show up on a highway right by an exit. I'm like, oh, this is great. But it's actually just a rest area, which makes it a lot harder to figure out. So I figured, all right, I will just go to the next exit. Well, once I figure out what road I'm on, we're on 35, and I took extra time to back up because I wanted to see if that highway shield said the state on it, which would be really helpful in figuring out where I am. I got just a little trouble backing up far enough. Finally found it. Found it was in Missouri. I-35 does not go through Missouri that long. It enters Missouri at Kansas City, and clearly this is going to be north of Kansas City because there's nothing here. I lived in Kansas City for 6 years. I've driven up this highway a few times. I figured I'd just go to the next exit, and then I would know we're at the rest area north of exit whatever. So as I'm moving down the road, and my time is ticking away from the chance to make the leaderboard. We're already a minute over at least of where the leaderboard would be. I say, oh no, it's a way station. But then I figured the odds of there being a rest area and a way station together are pretty slim. So I thought I would go find it. You figure the way station's probably going to be near the border. So I started up near Iowa, and I just went looking. There's a rest area. And so I had to figure out, is it the correct rest area? So I was going to go down and see if there was a way station there. For some reason, I decided to try and figure out what the next exit was. Maybe this is where I realized that there would be a way station. Or I was looking for the mile marker, I guess, is what I was doing next, to see what mile we were at, and then maybe I could trace an exit. And so I forget what it was, 106, 109, and I was like, well, what exit is this? And so I pull down, realize I'm on the wrong side to see an exit. There wasn't one on the other side of the road, and that's when I realized, oh, wait, this is the way station. I actually found it and didn't even realize it. So I just had to go back up to the rest area, make sure that I was right at the entrance where I thought I was. So I'm on the northern side, get the entrance, and there it is. I finished it up, perfect score, and that was 8 minutes, 14 seconds, beating my previous record by 2.5 minutes. I was pretty excited about that, and I do think maybe I can get down under 6 minutes at some point and get on that leaderboard.